For our ID kits, we have two separate boxes. One for the Class 1 ID and one for the Class 2 ID. In the box is your wash buffer in a small bottle, your positive and negative control sera. It's the same for the Class 2. Then in your separate bag, you have your concentrated conjugate and your beads. For our LifeCodes Deluxe kit, we use the millibore filter plates. The first step is to cover up the wells that you're not going to use with a transparent plastic to avoid having your vacuum lost in the wells that are not filled with liquids. After you've done this, you're going to fill the empty wells with water to pre-wet the filters. And after between 3 and 5 minutes, you can remove the water again with your vacuum pump. After removing the liquid from the plate, dry the underside with a piece of paper to avoid your liquid being pulled through. After you've done that, add 40 microliters of your wash buffer to each well. And add 12.5 microliters of your vortex and centrifuge sample to each well, starting or ending with your positive and negative control sera. Once you've added your samples and your wash buffer, we're gonna add the beads, but first we're gonna shortly spin down your bead to remove all liquids from the cap. And vortex the vial until all beads are into suspension. We've done this. We will add 5 microliters of your beads to each sample. After you've added all your reagents, so your wash buffer, your patient sample and your beads, make sure everything is in the bottom, and also be careful when pipetting in the filter plate to not damage the filter. After we've done this, we can put it on a plate shaker and have it incubating for half an hour on the plate shaker. After your incubation on the plate shaker ends, you take off your plate, remove the lid, and we're gonna proceed with washing your samples. The first step is adding 100 microliters of your wash buffer to each well and removing this with your vacuum pump. Then you repeat this step 3 more times, but then with a volume of 250 microliters. And after the last step, do not forget to dry the underside of your plate again. After finishing your last washing step, you can proceed by adding your diluted conjugate to each well. You make your diluted conjugate by taking 5 microliters of your concentrated conjugate and adding it to 45 microliters of your wash buffer. So you calculate how much you need for the number of samples you have, and then you can add 50 microliters of your diluted conjugate to each well. After you've added your diluted conjugate to all wells, you can see the slight pinkish color on every sample well. So after you've done this, you can put your plate again on your plate shaker and incubate for 30 minutes and covering it up with a foil. After your 30-minute incubation ends, the final step is to add between 130 and 150 microliters of wash buffer to each well. After you've done this, your plate is ready to be analyzed on the Luminex. After you've added your 150 microliters of wash buff in the last step, the plate is ready to be read on the Luminex. So you put it on your XY plate arm and you let the machine analyze your plate.